My son's wife told me I smell like bleach and don't belong around successful people. My name is Sherwin Davis. For 30 years, I've worked building maintenance, cleaned offices, fixed pipes, wore work boots to family dinners. What my MBA son Paul and his designer wife Milka didn't know was simple. While they were building their egos, I was building an empire. They ignored my Christmas dinner, too embarrassed to bring their poor dad around their important friends, said I was dragging them down, posted about choosing elevation over obligation on social media for everyone to see. That's when I decided to send them a Christmas gift they'd never forget. One text message to our family group chat, a few bank statements, some property documents, $4.2 million worth of reality check. Want to see what happened when my unsuccessful maintenance worker life met their successful professional world? Hit that subscribe button and tell me where you're watching from, because this story gets wild. Sometimes the janitor owns the building. Let me paint you the picture of how deep this disrespect went. It started small, like it always does. 2 years ago, when Paul married Milka, I noticed the changes. Suddenly, my invitations to dinner got rain checks. My phone calls went to voicemail. When I did see them, Milka would glance at my work clothes with this look. You know the look. The one that says, "I'm embarrassed for you." Paul graduated with his MBA from State University in 2019. Cost him $180,000. What he didn't tell his new wife was who co-signed that loan. Me. The embarrassing maintenance guy who apparently wasn't smart enough to understand business. The first real sign something was wrong came last Christmas. I'd invited them to my house for dinner. Nothing fancy, just pot roast and mashed potatoes like Sarah used to make before she passed. Paul called me 2 hours before they were supposed to arrive. "Dad, we can't make it." "Everything okay, son?" "Milka's not feeling well." I found out later they'd gone to the Oak Valley Country Club with her parents instead. Posted it all over Instagram. Her in that red dress, him in his navy blazer, champagne glasses raised. The caption read, "Christmas dinner with people who matter." People who matter. Those 3 words hit harder than any punch I'd ever taken. But I kept quiet. Sarah always said I was too patient with Paul. "That boy needs boundaries, Sherwin," she'd tell me. "You can't love someone into respecting you." The second sign came this past summer. Paul got promoted to senior analyst at his firm. Big celebration party at their condo. The one with granite countertops and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking downtown. Estimated value, $425,000. Down payment, $75,000. Guess who provided that down payment? The same poor dad they were too embarrassed to invite to the promotion party. I found out about it from my sister Maggie. She'd heard from Tommy, my nephew, who'd heard from a coworker who was there. 23 people celebrating Paul's success. His father wasn't one of them. When I asked Paul about it later, he got defensive. "Dad, it was just work people. You wouldn't have enjoyed it." "Why wouldn't I enjoy celebrating my son's success?" You wouldn't fit in with that crowd." That crowd. The people he worked with. The people who mattered. Milka made it worse. She had this way of talking to me like I was simple. Slow, careful words, like explaining electricity to a child. "Sherwin, you have to understand. Paul's career is very delicate right now. Image matters in his industry." Image. My work boots and Dickies uniform apparently sent the wrong image. The third sign was the most painful. 2 months ago, I ran into Milka at the grocery store where I sometimes picked up supplies for my rental properties. She was with 2 of her girlfriends. Designer handbags, perfect makeup, expensive highlights. I waved. "Hey, Milka?" Her face went white. She actually stepped back. "Oh, hi." No introduction to her friends. No acknowledgement that I was family. One of her friends asked, "Who's that?" I waited for her to say Paul's father or my father-in-law, something, anything. Instead, she said, "Just someone from the neighborhood, just someone from the neighborhood. 30 years of loving that boy. 3 years of mourning my wife alone, and I was just someone from the neighborhood." But here's what really gets me. While they were busy being embarrassed by their poor father, they had no problem taking his money. Milka's car, a 2022 BMW X3 in Arctic White, had a loan balance of $47,000. I was the co-signer. Her insurance payments, her registration fees, her maintenance costs, all backed by my credit. My credit that they thought was worthless because it came from a guy who cleaned buildings. Their wedding 3 years ago? $50,000 contribution from dear old Dad. The photography, the flowers, the upgraded reception package, all funded by my maintenance worker paychecks. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was watching Paul become someone I didn't recognize. The boy who used to help me fix leaky faucets now pretended not to understand basic tools. The kid who was proud when I taught him to change oil now acted like manual labor was beneath him. Sarah always said Paul had potential. "He's smart, Sherwin. Just don't let him forget where he comes from." Well, he'd forgotten, and his wife made sure he stayed forgetful. 3 weeks ago, I decided to test something. I called Paul from my office phone instead of my cell. The number shows up as Davis Holdings, LLC. He answered on the first ring. "Hello, this is Paul Davis." "Hey, son, it's Dad." Long pause. Then, "Oh, Dad. I thought you were... Never mind. What's up?" "I thought you were what, Paul?" "Nothing, just... Your number looked different. Davis Holdings, LLC. The company name was right there in his caller ID. But he didn't ask about it. Didn't even seem curious why his maintenance worker father was calling from a business line. That's when I knew for sure. They weren't just embarrassed by what I did for a living. They'd completely written off any possibility that I might be more than what they saw on the surface. That's when I started planning my Christmas gift. Here's what was really at stake if I kept my mouth shut and let this continue. First, my relationship with my son. Every month that passed, Paul grew more distant, more entitled, more convinced that his MBA made him superior to the man who'd raised him. If I stayed silent, I'd lose him completely. Not to death or distance, but to his own arrogance. That's a special kind of grief right there. Second, my family legacy. Sarah and I spent 35 years building something together. She worked as a school secretary while I learned the maintenance trade. We saved every dollar we could, invested in our first rental property when Paul was 12. Sarah handled the books, I handled the repairs. We were partners in everything. After she passed 3 years ago, I kept building what we'd started. Not for me. For Paul. For the grandchildren Milka kept promising but never delivered. For the family name to mean something. But if Paul never knew what we'd built, if he thought his success came from his own brilliance while looking down on his failure of a father, then our legacy died with Sarah. Third, and this one hurt the most, my self-respect. I'd spent 3 years being patient, understanding, making excuses for their behavior because grief made me desperate to keep what little family I had left. But patience without boundaries isn't patience. It's enabling. Every time I let Milka's comments slide, every event I didn't get invited to, every time Paul acted ashamed of me, I was teaching them that disrespect had no consequences. I was training them to treat me like dirt. But there was something else at stake, something that would come out later. Paul had no idea how much his comfortable life depended on his embarrassing father's credit and generosity. His mortgage application for the condo required a co-signer with substantial assets. That was me. Milka's car loan needed someone with an 850 credit score and significant monthly income. That was me. His MBA program? Student loans totaling $180,000. The bank required a guarantor with proven ability to make payments if Paul defaulted. Guess who that was? Their wedding? Milka's parents contributed $20,000. Paul's salary at the time barely covered his living expenses. That $50,000 from poor Dad made the difference between a modest ceremony and the lavish affair Milka demanded. Christmas was coming fast. December 15th, I'd sent the invitation to our family group chat. Christmas dinner at my house, December 25th, 5 p.m. Pot roast, mashed potatoes, all the fixings. Sarah's recipe. Hope to see everyone there. 12 people in that chat. My sister Maggie, her husband Frank, their 3 kids. My nephew Tommy and his wife. My brother-in-law George. Sarah's sister Patricia and her family, and Paul and Milka. 11 people responded within 2 hours. Wouldn't miss it. Can't wait. Should I bring dessert? Paul and Milka? Radio silence. December 18th, 3 days later. Paul finally texted. Not called. Texted. Dad, Milka and I won't be able to make Christmas dinner. We've got plans in Aspen. Skiing trip with the Hendersons. Already booked. The Hendersons. Milka's college friends. The ones with the tech startup money and the vacation house. The ones who mattered. I stared at that text for 20 minutes. 30 years of Christmas dinners. 30 years of tradition. The first Christmas since Sarah passed that I was really looking forward to having family around. And they chose strangers in Aspen over pot roast with Dad. But here's the thing that really got me. It wasn't just that they were skipping dinner. It was how they told me. A text. No phone call. No explanation. No. Sorry, Dad. We know how much this means to you, but this opportunity came up. Just a flat statement. Already booked. like I was some minor inconvenience they needed to clear off their calendar. That's when I realized something. If I let this slide, if I just said, okay, have fun skiing, and pretended it didn't hurt, I wasn't just losing a Christmas dinner. I was losing my son permanently. I was accepting a future where I'd always be the backup plan, the emergency contact they never called, the cosigner they used but never acknowledged. The family gathering would happen without them. 11 people would sit around my table, and there would be 2 empty chairs. Everyone would ask where Paul and Milka were, and I'd have to explain that they were too busy with important people to spend Christmas with their family. That's when I decided. If they wanted to find out who was really important in their lives, maybe it was time they learned what life looked like without their embarrassing father's support. The stakes were clear. Either I stood up now, or I spent the rest of my life being taken for granted by people who should have loved me most. December 20th, I decided to call Paul directly. He answered on the 3rd ring. "Hey, Dad. Paul, I got your text about Christmas." "Yeah, sorry about that. This Aspen thing just came up." "Came up when? What do you mean? When did this opportunity come up? Because ski trips usually require planning, reservations, time off work." Pause. "I don't know, Dad. A few weeks ago, maybe." "A few weeks ago, before I sent the Christmas invitation. Look, I'm at work right now. Can we talk about this later?" "Put me on speaker, Paul." "What?" "Put me on speaker. I want Milka to hear this too." Another pause. I heard muffled voices. Then Paul's voice, more distant now. "Okay, you're on speaker." "Hi, Sherwin." Milka's voice, fake sweet, like talking to a child. "Milka, Paul, I want to understand something. You've known about this ski trip for weeks, but you waited until 3 days after my invitation to tell me you couldn't come?" "We didn't want to hurt your feelings," Milka said. "By lying about it?" "We weren't lying," Paul said. You just what? Hoped I wouldn't notice you were avoiding Christmas with your family?" Silence. "Paul, do you remember last Christmas when you canceled 2 hours before dinner?" "Dad, that was different. Milka was sick." "No, she wasn't. You went to Oak Valley Country Club with her parents." More silence. Then Milka's voice, sharper now. "Who told you that?" "Does it matter? The point is you lied then too." "We didn't lie," Milka said. "We just changed plans. Without telling me. Again." "Look, Sherwin," Milka's voice had lost all pretense of sweetness. "This is exactly why we have problems. You make everything about you. We have our own lives, our own friends. We can't revolve everything around your schedule." "My schedule? Milka, it's Christmas dinner with family." "Your family," she said. "Not mine." That hit like a slap. "Excuse me?" "I said it's your family. I have my own family, my own traditions. You married Paul. That makes you part of this family, too. On paper, maybe." Paul jumped in. "Milka didn't mean—" "Yes, I did mean it." Milka's voice was clear now. No more fake politeness. "Sherwin, you're a nice man. But you have to understand. Paul and I are building a life together, with people in our social circle, people who share our interests, our education level, our background." "Your background? Professional people? People who understand business, culture, social etiquette. And I don't? You work maintenance, Sherwin. You smell like bleach and motor oil. You wear work boots to restaurants. You don't know wine from grape juice." The phone went dead quiet. I could hear my own heartbeat. Paul's voice, barely a whisper. "Milka." "What?" He asked a question. I gave an honest answer. I took a deep breath, counted to 5. "Milka, thank you for being honest." "You're welcome." "Paul, is this how you feel too?" Long pause. Too long. "Dad, you have to understand our position. My career is really taking off. The people we associate with, their important connections, networking opportunities, future business partners. And I'm embarrassing to be around. You're just different from them, Dad. Different. Not wrong. Not bad. Just different. Like I was some exotic animal they couldn't bring to the country club." "I understand," I said. "Enjoy your ski trip." "Dad, don't be—" I hung up. Sat there in my kitchen for 10 minutes, staring at the phone. Milka's words echoing in my head. "You work maintenance. You smell like bleach and motor oil." That's when I made my decision. If they wanted to judge me by my work uniform, maybe it was time they learned what I'd been building while they were busy being embarrassed. I had arrangements to make. The next morning, December 21st, I made 3 phone calls, the kind of calls that might surprise people who think maintenance workers only know how to fix toilets. First call was to Marcus Thompson at First National Bank. Marcus has been my business banker for 15 years. Most people don't realize that the guy in the Dickies uniform has a business banker, or that he calls me Mr. Davis and offers me coffee in his office. Mr. Davis, good to hear from you. What can I do for you today? Marcus, I need updated statements for all my accounts, business and personal, and I want the property portfolio summary we discussed last month. The comprehensive one with current market values? That's right. Everything in one package. How soon do you need this? Tomorrow morning would be perfect. I'll have Jennifer prepare everything. Will you be coming in, or should we messenger it? I'll come in. And Marcus, I want it printed on the bank letterhead, official documentation. Certainly, Mr. Davis. Is this for the accountant? Something like that. Second call was to Patricia Hernandez, my property manager. Patricia runs the day-to-day operations for my rentals, collects rent, handles tenant issues, coordinates repairs. She's sharp, professional, and treats my portfolio like her own. Sherwin, perfect timing. I just finished the December reports. Patricia, I need a favor. Can you prepare a summary sheet showing all 12 properties, current rental rates, occupancy status, monthly income totals? Of course. The comprehensive overview? Yes. And include the annual income projections. That'll show just over $379,000 for this year. $379,000, more than Paul made in 2 years at his fancy analyst job. Perfect. Email it to me by tonight. Already typing it up. Third call was to Robert Sterling, my estate attorney. Robert has been handling my legal affairs since I bought my first rental property. He's the one who set up Davis Holdings LLC, the one who structured everything to minimize taxes and maximize growth. Robert, it's Sherwin Davis. Sherwin, how are you? Ready for Christmas? Working on it. Robert, I need you to prepare something for me. A summary of my estate planning documents, assets, beneficiaries, current valuations. Is everything all right? Everything's fine. I just need my family to understand some things. I see. How detailed should this summary be? Detailed enough to be clear, simple enough to understand. I'll have something ready by Christmas Eve. Should I include the recent changes we discussed? The recent changes. That was Paul's removal as primary beneficiary after the promotion party incident. Robert had advised me to think it over for 6 months before making it permanent. Smart lawyer. Include a note that beneficiary designations are under review pending family discussions. Understood. That afternoon, I stopped by Oak Valley Country Club to confirm my New Year's Day reservation. I'd been a member for 8 years. Most people don't know that maintenance workers can afford country club memberships. But then again, most people don't ask the right questions. The maitre d', Charles, greeted me at the entrance. Good afternoon, Mr. Davis. How may I help you today? Charles, I wanted to confirm my New Year's reservation. Party of 15. Ah, yes, the family gathering. We have you in the private dining room at 7 o'clock. Will you be needing the usual wine selection? The usual was a $300 bottle of wine I'd discovered during one of my solo dinners there. Amazing what you learn when you're not worried about impressing anyone. That sounds perfect. Excellent. We look forward to seeing you and your family. Walking back to my truck, I thought about Milka's comment. You don't know wine from grape juice. Charles would have a good laugh at that one. I had one more stop to make. The storage unit where I keep all my important documents. Property deeds, business records, tax returns, investment statements. 25 years of building something real while everyone assumed I was just getting by. Tomorrow I'd pick up the bank documents. Tomorrow night I'd send my Christmas gift to the family group chat. But first I wanted to look through the photos Sarah and I had taken when we bought our first rental property. The little duplex on Maple Street. 2 units, $24,000 purchase price. Sarah was so excited she insisted we take pictures in front of the sold sign. We'd built something together, something real, something that deserved respect. It was time my family learned what that looked like. December 22nd brought the kind of humiliation that forces a man to act. I was at my sister Maggie's house helping her prepare for the Christmas Eve family gathering. She'd volunteered to host the extended family dinner since Paul and Milka wouldn't be at mine anymore. Maggie was in the kitchen making her famous green bean casserole while I fixed a loose cabinet door that had been bothering her for months. Sherwin, hand me my phone, she called from the stove. I want to show you the pictures from Tommy's promotion ceremony. I grabbed her phone from the counter. The screen was already open to Instagram. And there, right at the top of the feed, was Milka's latest post. A selfie. Milka in a designer ski jacket, perfectly applied makeup, fake snow falling behind her. The caption made my stomach turn. Aspen vibes with my babe. So grateful we chose elevation over obligation this Christmas. Chose elevation over obligation. Their Christmas dinner with family was an obligation. But that wasn't the worst part. I scrolled through the comments. Her friends were eating it up. Yas, queen, you guys deserve the best. So much better than boring family stuff. Living your best life. And then Milka replied to one comment that made my blood boil. Honestly, sometimes you have to choose between people who lift you up and people who drag you down. We're all about elevation now. People who drag you down. That was me, the father who'd co-signed her car loan, funded half her wedding, and provided the down payment for the condo she was posting from. I was the one dragging them down. Maggie, look at this. I handed her the phone. She read the post, her expression growing darker by the second. That little... She caught herself. Sherwin, this is unacceptable. There's more. Look at the comments. She scrolled through them, shaking her head. Elevation over obligation? That obligation is her family. Your family. Keep reading. She got to Milka's response about choosing people who lift you up. Her face went red. That's it. I'm calling Paul right now. No, Maggie, don't. Why not? Someone needs to tell him his wife is publicly humiliating his father. Because this isn't your fight. It's mine. But Maggie was already taking screenshots. I'm sending these to the family group chat. Everyone should see how they really feel about us. Maggie, please. Too late. My phone buzzed with notifications. The family group chat was exploding. My brother-in-law, George. Are you kidding me with this? My nephew, Tommy. Uncle Sherwin, I'm so sorry. This is disgusting. Sarah's sister, Patricia. 25 years I've watched Sherwin treat that boy like gold, and this is the thanks he gets. Tommy's wife, Jennifer. The disrespect is unreal. Sherwin doesn't deserve this. Frank, Maggie's husband. I've known Sherwin for 20 years. Best man I ever met. This makes me sick. But then came the response that pushed me over the edge. Paul had joined the chat. Paul. Everyone needs to calm down. Milka didn't mean anything by that post. She's just excited about the trip. George shot back, elevation over obligation? What exactly did she mean by that, Paul? Paul. She meant we're focused on positive experiences. There's nothing wrong with that. Patricia. Positive experiences? Your father's Christmas dinner isn't positive? Paul. That's not what I said. Tommy. Then what are you saying? Because it sounds like you're defending your wife, calling your father a drag on your life. Paul. Look, everyone's making this bigger than it is. Dad understands our situation. Right, Dad? 12 people in that chat. 11 of them defending me. And my own son asking me to make this easier for him. To pretend I understood why his wife felt comfortable publicly mocking his family. I typed one response. I understand perfectly, Paul. And I did. I understood that they'd pushed this too far. Made it too public. Too humiliating. Milka hadn't just disrespected me privately anymore. She'd done it for her hundreds of followers to see. Made our family business into her content. Turned my Christmas invitation into her punchline. The comments on her post kept coming. More friends validating her choice to prioritize elevation over family. More likes, more shares. More people learning that Milka Davis thought her husband's father was something to be avoided. But then something interesting happened. Some of the comments weren't so supportive. Wait, you're skipping Christmas dinner with family for a ski trip? Kinda harsh to call family an obligation, don't you think? My husband would never let me talk about his dad like this. Milka started deleting the negative comments, but screenshots live forever, and people had already taken them. That evening I got a call from Paul. He sounded panicked. Dad, Milka's really upset. Her post is getting negative attention. I imagine it is. People are calling her selfish, mean. One of her coworkers shared it and said it makes her look bad. Actions have consequences, Paul. Dad, you have to do something. Maybe post something supportive. Show people you're okay with our decision. You want me to lie for you? I want you to be understanding, like you always are. Like I always am. The patient father who makes excuses for his ungrateful son. The understanding dad who pretends disrespect doesn't hurt. Paul, I need to ask you something, and I want an honest answer. Okay. Are you embarrassed by me? Long pause. Too long. Dad, it's complicated. No, it's not complicated. It's yes or no. Are you embarrassed by your father? Another pause. Sometimes. Sometimes. The word hung in the air like a death sentence. Thank you for being honest. Dad, wait. I hung up. Sat in my kitchen, looking at the Christmas cards scattered on my table. Cards from my tenants thanking me for being a good landlord. Cards from the church where I'd quietly funded the new heating system. Cards from the scholarship recipients at the community college where I'd established an anonymous fund. People who appreciated what I did. People who knew my worth. Tomorrow was Christmas Eve. Time for my family to learn mine. December 24th, 8:47 p.m. Christmas Eve. The extended family gathering at Maggie's was winding down. 11 people who actually wanted to spend Christmas with each other. 11 people who didn't see family as an obligation. We'd talked about Paul and Milka's absence, of course. The Instagram post. The embarrassment they'd caused. But mostly we'd celebrated what we had instead of mourning what we'd lost. Tommy had gotten a promotion at his accounting firm. Patricia's daughter had been accepted to nursing school. George's small business had its best year ever. Real accomplishments, real relationships, real respect. Around 8:30, people started gathering their coats, saying goodbyes, making plans for tomorrow's dinner at my house. Plans that Paul and Milka had chosen not to be part of. That's when my phone buzzed. A text from Paul. "Dad, can we video call? Milka wants to apologize for the post. Too little, too late." But I was curious what Milka's version of an apology looked like. I stepped into Maggie's back room and accepted the video call. Paul's face appeared on my screen, looking uncomfortable. Milka was next to him, her ski makeup perfect, her expression carefully neutral. "Hi, Sherwin," she said. Same fake sweet voice as always. "Milka, Paul. I wanted to apologize for my Instagram post. I didn't mean for it to sound the way it did." "How did you mean for it to sound?" "Just excited about our trip. I wasn't thinking about how the words might be interpreted." Interpreted. Like the problem was my understanding, not her meaning. "What about the part where you said you choose people who lift you up over people who drag you down?" Her smile flickered. "That wasn't about you specifically." "Who was it about specifically?" Paul jumped in. "Dad, the important thing is she's apologizing. Can we move past this? Move past this. Like always. Pretend it never happened. Enable their disrespect by accepting their hollow apologies." "Paul, Milka, I appreciate you calling." They both relaxed, thinking the crisis was over. "But before we hang up, I have something to share with you, something that might help you understand why your family is so disappointed right now." I pulled up the family group chat and started typing. "What are you doing, Dad?" "Sending you both a Christmas gift, something I should have shared a long time ago." First, I uploaded the bank statements Marcus had prepared. 12 pages of account summaries, asset listings, and business income reports. Next, Patricia's property portfolio overview. 12 rental properties, current market values, monthly income statements, annual projections. Then Robert's estate summary. Asset valuations, business holdings, investment accounts, all totaling to a number that would make Paul's MBA classmates very quiet. The family group chat exploded with notifications. Everyone was seeing the documents in real time. "Dad?" Paul's voice was confused. "What is this?" "This is what you've been too embarrassed to know about your father." Milka leaned closer to her phone, squinting at the documents. Her face went white. "These numbers, are these real?" "Every dollar, Milka. Every property, every asset, every income stream, all earned by the maintenance worker who smells like bleach and motor oil." I watched Paul scroll through the documents on his phone. His expression changed from confusion to shock to something approaching panic. "Dad, this says you own 12 rental properties." "That's correct, with a total value of $4.2 million. Current market assessment, yes. And monthly rental income of $31,650. This month it was $32,000. December rents always include some late fees." Milka grabbed Paul's phone. "Annual income $379,800. Before taxes and expenses. Net income last year was about $320,000. The family group chat was going crazy. My relatives seeing these numbers for the first time, understanding exactly what Paul and Milka had been too blind to notice. Tommy: "Uncle Sherwin, are you serious? You're a millionaire?" Patricia: "Sherwin, why didn't you ever tell us?" Maggie: "Our brother, the real estate mogul, I can't believe it. But Paul and Milka weren't celebrating. They were calculating. I could see it in their faces. The car loan, the condo down payment, the MBA co-signing, the wedding contribution. Dad," Paul's voice was small, How long have you had this kind of money?" "I bought my first rental property 23 years ago. Your mother and I started with a little duplex on Maple Street. $24,000. We saved for 2 years to afford the down payment." "But you always said—" "I said what? That I was poor?" I never said that, Paul. You assumed it. You looked at my work uniform and decided I was unsuccessful. You never asked what I did with my paycheck. You never wondered why I could co-sign your loans or contribute to your wedding or help with your down payment. Milka found her voice. The condo down payment. $75,000 from the Davis Holdings business account. The car loan. $47,000, co-signed with my personal credit, backed by my assets. The MBA program. $180,000 in student loans. I'm the guarantor. If you default, I pay. Paul was doing math in his head. I could see the numbers adding up. The full scope of how much his unsuccessful father had invested in his successful life. Dad, why didn't you tell us about this? When would I have told you, Paul? At the family dinners you stopped coming to? The phone calls you didn't return? The parties I wasn't invited to because I wouldn't fit in with your professional friends? Milka was staring at her phone, reading the family chat reactions. Everyone putting together the same picture. The maintenance worker they'd all underestimated was actually the most successful member of the family. Besides, I continued, I thought success was about more than money. I thought it was about character, loyalty, respect for the people who love you, but apparently your generation measures success differently. Paul's video call was frozen. Whether from shock or bad connection, I couldn't tell. Here's what's going to happen, I said calmly. Tomorrow is Christmas. I'm having dinner with people who actually want to spend time with me. People who don't see family as an obligation, people who measure success by how you treat others, not by how much money you make. I looked directly into the camera. You two enjoy your elevation in Aspen. When you come back, we're going to have some conversations about respect, gratitude, and what it really means to be successful. I ended the video call. The family group chat was still buzzing. Questions, congratulations, shock, pride. My relatives finally understanding why I'd been so patient with Paul's disrespect, and why that patience had finally run out. At 9:15 p.m. my phone rang. Paul calling back. I declined the call. At 9:18 p.m. Milka called. Declined. At 9:23 p.m. another call from Paul. This time I answered. Dad, we need to talk. Yes, we do, but not tonight. Tonight I'm celebrating Christmas with people who value family. Dad, please. Merry Christmas, Paul. Enjoy your skiing. I hung up and turned off my phone. Time to see what my Christmas gift would really teach them about respect. Christmas morning brought clarity, phone calls, and consequences. I turned my phone back on at 7 a.m. 43 missed calls, 67 text messages, most from Paul and Milka, but others from numbers I didn't recognize. Word was spreading. The first text I read was from Paul, sent at 11:47 p.m. Christmas Eve. Dad, we're flying back tomorrow. We need to talk. Please don't do anything else until we get home. Don't do anything else. Like I was the one who'd created this mess. Milka's texts were more frantic. Sherwin, please call me. There's been a misunderstanding. I can explain everything. People are sharing screenshots of our family chat. My coworkers are asking questions. Please delete those documents. Delete the documents. Hide the truth. Pretend their poor father was actually poor so they could go back to being embarrassed by him in peace. At 7:30 a.m. my phone rang. Paul calling from Aspen. Dad, thank God you answered. Morning, Paul. How's the skiing? Dad, forget the skiing. We saw the family chat. Those documents. Are they real? Every number. $4.2 million in property? Current market value, yes. And you make over $300,000 a year? After expenses. Before taxes, it's closer to $380. Silence. Then Milka's voice in the background. Ask him about the co-signing. Dad, Milka wants to know, the car loan, the condo down payment, the MBA loans, that was all your money. My credit, my assets backing your lifestyle. Why didn't you tell us? When should I have mentioned it, Paul? During the family dinners you stopped attending. The phone calls you ignored. Or maybe at your promotion party that I wasn't invited to. Dad, that's not fair. What's not fair is spending 2 years being treated like a charity case by people living off my charity. Milka grabbed the phone. Sherwin, you have to understand our position. Paul's career is built on loans I guaranteed, living in a condo I funded, driving a car I co-signed. Your entire lifestyle depends on the maintenance worker you're too embarrassed to acknowledge. We're not embarrassed. Milka, you posted on social media that you chose elevation over obligation. You called your husband's father an obligation. You told your Instagram followers that you pick people who lift you up over people who drag you down. I was just excited about the trip. You were publicly humiliating your family. My family. Paul took the phone back. Dad, we're sorry. We made mistakes, but posting those documents in the family chat, everyone can see our private business now. Our private business. The money they'd gladly taken was suddenly embarrassing when people realized where it came from. Paul, here's what's going to happen. I'm making some changes. What kind of changes? I pulled out the legal documents Robert had prepared, the ones I'd been hoping I'd never need to use. First change. I'm removing you as co-signer guarantor from all loans. Your car, your condo, your student debt. As of today, you're financially independent. Dad, you can't do that. The bank requires a co-signer with substantial assets and good credit. That's me. And I'm withdrawing my guarantee. Panic in Paul's voice. What does that mean? It means you have 30 days to find alternative financing or face default proceedings. Dad, please. Second change. Davis Holdings LLC is establishing new policies for family financial assistance. All future support requires signed agreements acknowledging the source and showing appropriate gratitude. You want us to sign contracts? I want you to acknowledge reality. For 2 years, you've lived like successful professionals while treating your benefactor like an embarrassment. That ends now. Milka was crying in the background. Real tears this time, not Instagram tears. Third change. The family group chat stays exactly as it is. Those documents show everyone the truth about your assumptions and your attitude. They stay posted until you publicly apologize for your behavior. Dad, Milka's coworkers have seen those numbers. Her boss is asking questions. This is affecting her job. Actions have consequences, Paul. But her reputation? What about my reputation? 2 years of being treated like I was worthless. 2 years of being excluded from your life because I didn't fit your image. Did you worry about my reputation then? Long silence. Then Paul's voice, smaller now. What do you want us to do? I want you to decide what matters more, your pride or your family, your image or your integrity, your assumptions or the truth. Dad, we love you. Love isn't just words, Paul. It's actions, it's respect, it's showing up for Christmas dinner instead of posting about choosing elevation over obligation. We'll make this right. Maybe you will, but not with words, not with apologies, with changed behavior over time. Milka grabbed the phone again. Sherwin, what about the loans? We can't qualify without your credit backing. Then you'll have to make some difficult choices. Sell the car, refinance the condo, find cheaper alternatives, live like the middle-class professionals you actually are, instead of the wealthy people you've been pretending to be with my money. That's not fair. Milka, you know what's not fair? Working 30 years to build something real while your family calls you a drag on their success. That's not fair. I heard whispering, frantic discussions, reality setting in. We're flying home today, Paul said finally. Good. Family dinner is at 5 p.m. You know the address. Will you reconsider the co-signing issue? That depends on whether you show up, and whether you show up with the right attitude. We'll be there. We'll see. I hung up and sat in my kitchen, looking at my phone. The family group chat was still buzzing with reactions to the financial documents. My relatives finally understanding what I'd built, what Paul and Milka had been too proud to see. But the real test wasn't the money. It was whether they'd choose humility over pride, family over image, reality over assumptions. Christmas dinner would tell me everything I needed to know. The consequences started rolling in before Paul and Milka even left Aspen. By 10 a.m. Christmas morning, my nephew Tommy was calling. He works in accounting at a mid-size firm, knows money when he sees it. Uncle Sherwin, I've been staring at those bank statements for an hour. You're not just successful, you're wealthy. Like really wealthy. I've been fortunate, Tommy. Fortunate nothing. This is 30 years of smart investing and hard work. Why didn't you ever tell anyone? Didn't seem important. Money isn't everything. Maybe not, but respect is. And Paul and Milka owe you a mountain of it. By noon, the story had spread beyond our family. Milka's Instagram post about elevation over obligation had been screenshot and shared in local social media groups. People were connecting the dots. The maintenance worker's spoiled son and his social climbing wife. The Christmas dinner they were too good for. The father they'd publicly dismissed. Comments were brutal. Imagine being this ungrateful to your own family. The audacity of calling Christmas dinner with your father an obligation. I hoped their ski trip was worth destroying their relationship with their dad. Milka started deleting her social media accounts. Too late. Screenshots are forever. At 2 p.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Davis, this is Jennifer Martinez from Channel 7 News. We'd like to interview you about your story. My story? The Christmas dinner situation. It's been shared in several community groups. People are calling it a perfect example of family values versus materialism. I politely declined. This wasn't about fame. It was about family. But the calls kept coming. Local radio stations, newspaper reporters. Someone had turned my family drama into a viral story about class assumptions and family respect. At 3 p.m., Paul called again. Dad, we're at the airport, flying back now, but I need to tell you something. What's that? Milka's been fired. I felt a stab of guilt, then remembered the Instagram post. The public humiliation. The years of disrespect. What happened? Her boss saw the family group chat screenshots, said it showed poor judgment and family values, that it reflected badly on the company culture. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you? Because this is your fault. You exposed our private business. The guilt vanished. Paul, your private business was spending my money while publicly calling me an embarrassment. Your private business was posting on social media that you chose elevation over family obligation. Milka didn't mean... Milka meant every word, and her boss apparently agreed with my assessment of her character. Dad, she's devastated. She should be. Actions have consequences. What about forgiveness? What about family? What about respect? What about gratitude? You can't demand forgiveness while refusing accountability. He hung up, but called back 10 minutes later. Dad, we'll be at dinner, 5 o'clock. Good. Come hungry, and come humble. The afternoon brought more calls, more social media attention, more consequences. Paul's co-workers had seen the story. His boss wanted to know why Paul hadn't mentioned his family's real estate wealth on his financial disclosure forms. Turns out, when your father guarantees your loans, that counts as a family financial connection. Paul was facing a compliance review at work. His promotion track was suddenly uncertain. His carefully crafted professional image was cracking under the weight of truth. But the most interesting call came at 4 p.m. Robert Sterling, my estate attorney. Sherwin, I've been fielding calls all day. Word about your portfolio has reached some interesting ears. What kind of ears? The kind that invest in real estate, the kind that partner with successful property managers. I've had 3 serious inquiries about joint ventures. My quiet success was suddenly not so quiet, and apparently successful property investors were more valuable partners than embarrassing maintenance workers. There's something else, Sherwin. The charity foundations you support anonymously? They're asking if you'd consider going public. Becoming a board member. Your story is inspiring donors. Inspiring donors. The man Milka thought was too embarrassing for her friends was inspiring wealthy philanthropists. At 4:30 p.m., I started cooking. Pot roast, mashed potatoes, green beans, Sarah's recipes. Food that people who matter would appreciate. At 4:45 p.m., Paul's car pulled into my driveway. A 2021 Honda Accord. Not the BMW they'd driven to family events before. Apparently, they'd already started making financial adjustments. I watched from my kitchen window as they sat in the car for 5 minutes, having a conversation, probably arguing about what to say, how to handle the man they'd spent 2 years underestimating. Finally, they walked to my door. Paul looked tired. Milka looked broken. Her perfect Instagram makeup was gone. Her designer ski clothes replaced with simple jeans and a sweater. She looked like a different person. Paul knocked softly. Dad, we're here. I opened the door. They stood there like children who'd been caught lying, ashamed, uncertain, waiting for judgment. Come in. Dinner's almost ready. They followed me to the kitchen, the same kitchen where they'd been too embarrassed to eat Christmas dinner. Suddenly, it didn't seem so beneath them. Dad, Paul started, we need to talk. We will, after we eat. Sarah always said important conversations happen better on full stomachs. I served the pot roast, the mashed potatoes, the green beans, simple food made with love, the kind of meal Milka had once called too basic for her sophisticated palate. She ate every bite, said nothing, kept her eyes on her plate. Paul tried small talk, the weather, the flight home, the traffic, anything but the elephant in the room. After dinner, we moved to the living room, the same room where I'd been too embarrassing to host their friends. Tonight, it felt like a courtroom. Dad, Paul began again, we owe you an apology. You owe me more than that. Milka looked up for the first time. Her eyes were red. Real tears, not performance tears. Sherwin, I'm sorry. I said terrible things. I was wrong. You were, but sorry isn't enough anymore. Sorry is what you say when you accidentally hurt someone. This wasn't accidental. This was 2 years of deliberate disrespect. Paul leaned forward. What do you want from us? I want you to understand something. Success isn't about your job title. It's not about your education. It's not about impressing people who don't really know you. I looked at both of them. Success is about character, loyalty, taking care of people who love you, building something that lasts. We understand now. No, you don't, not yet. But maybe if you're willing to learn, you will. The real conversation was just beginning. 6 months later, everything had changed. Paul and Milka did learn, but it took losing almost everything first. Without my credit backing, they couldn't maintain their lifestyle. The BMW got repossessed. They had to sell the condo and move to a modest apartment in a less prestigious neighborhood. Milka found work at a smaller firm for 60% of her previous salary. Paul's compliance review led to a formal reprimand and a delayed promotion track. But something interesting happened during their financial struggle. They discovered what actually mattered. Paul started calling me twice a week, not for money, just to talk about work, about life, about the things he was learning from watching me manage my properties. He asked questions about real estate investing, about building long-term wealth, about patience and persistence. Milka surprised me most. She asked if she could help with my rental properties, bookkeeping, tenant communications, maintenance scheduling. Said she wanted to learn the business from the ground up, wanted to understand how someone builds real success instead of just performing it. I said yes, but with conditions. Every Saturday they worked with me. Milka learned to calculate return on investment, screen tenants, handle maintenance requests. Paul learned basic repairs, property inspection, tenant relations. They wore work clothes, got their hands dirty, learned what building something actually requires. 3 months in, Milka made a comment that told me everything had changed. Sherwin, I used to be embarrassed that you worked maintenance. Now I'm embarrassed that I didn't understand you were an entrepreneur who happened to do his own maintenance. Paul added, Dad, I spent 4 years in business school learning theories about success. You spent 30 years actually building it. By month 4, they were contributing more than just labor. Milka's organizational skills transformed my property management system. Paul's financial education helped optimize tax strategies and investment timing. They became partners instead of dependents. The family group chat became something different too. Instead of being a source of shame, it became a source of pride. My relatives shared the story of Paul and Milka's transformation. How humility led to real education. How losing fake success opened the door to earning real success. Tommy started asking for advice about his first rental property purchase. Patricia's daughter wanted to know about real estate investing for her nursing school fund. Even Maggie admitted she'd always wondered how I afforded to be so generous with family emergencies. The whole family dynamic shifted. I wasn't the quiet uncle with the mysterious ability to help out financially anymore. I was the family success story, the example of what 30 years of smart decisions and hard work could build. Last month, Paul and Milka bought their first rental property, a small duplex in the same neighborhood where Sarah and I started. They used their savings for the down payment, qualified for the loan with their own credit, asked for my advice, not my money. Milka posted about it on her new Instagram account. The caption read, "Proud to follow in my father-in-law's footsteps." Real success takes time, humility, and learning from people who've actually built something. #grateful #family legacy, #real estate investing. The comments were different this time. Respectful, congratulatory. From people who understood that she'd learned something valuable about what actually matters. Christmas this year was different too. Paul and Milka hosted dinner at their new apartment. Simple food, simple decorations, but everyone came, all 13 family members. Because when you show up for family, family shows up for you. During dinner, Paul raised a glass. To my dad, who taught me that success isn't about impressing strangers, it's about taking care of the people who love you. Milka added, and who taught me that you can't judge someone by their work uniform. Sometimes the janitor owns the building. Sometimes the maintenance worker is the most successful person in the room. I thought about Sarah. How proud she'd be to see Paul finally understanding what we'd built together, what we'd tried to teach him all along. After dinner, as everyone was leaving, Milka pulled me aside. Sherwin, thank you. For what? For not giving up on us. For teaching us the difference between looking successful and actually being successful. I hugged her. My daughter-in-law. Finally. Family doesn't give up on family, but sometimes family needs to earn its way back to family. She nodded. We earned it. You're earning it every day. Because respect isn't inherited. It's earned. And success isn't about what people think you have. It's about what you've actually built. Have you ever been underestimated because of your job or background? Let me know in the comments where you're watching from. And if this story taught you something about real success versus performed success, hit that like button. Sometimes the most successful person in the room is the one nobody expects.